Yo, peace and gratitude, peace and gratitude. One love to the West Side. You already know what's going on. It's your man's Chief West Side 777 or Chief West Side 7 Instagram. Tap in, y'all know what it is. But man, I got a message. I ain't gonna lie, I'm a little behind, but I'm right on time, so it's all good. You know. But this message today is about the divine feminine principle of nine. You know what I'm saying? So as you see the title, Divine Feminine Principle of 999, I'm gonna be covering basically the principles and the things that I've discovered within this nine energy and the stuff that I've been able to learn. And I would say, yeah, the stuff I've been able to learn and discover about the divine feminine principle of this nine energy and number itself. So let's get into it. So nine and the word feminine, nine in the feminine aspect represents creation, creativity, creative energy, and it's also a more lunar number than it is a solar, meaning is more internal or spiritual than it is physical. So essentially, yeah, that's what it is. Being that nine represents, the inner world, the emotions, you know what I'm saying, that some might say, well, it is, feminine or women are definitely emotional beings or more emotional. I feel like we all are emotional beings, but women are very much more emotional than men. You know what I'm saying? And so understanding, femininity and masculinity, this is where we gonna get to the base and the root of, the nine. You know what I'm saying? And so universally speaking, it takes 9 months for a woman to give birth or deliver a child. Nine is the essence of the divine feminine in the aspect of formation and creation, although it isn't limited by gender as it is energy. However, in the physical, it's distinguished between male and female as masculine and feminine and body counterparts. And 0 through 9 represents the ending and beginning of all things. In the solar system and universe of 9 planets, among many exoplanets and distant worlds, beyond one must understand that everything begins and ends from 0 to 9 in a natural form, being soul and spirit, which is actually formless and or formlessness, and which one will connect with the mind, and which one will connect with the mind and body to the soul via spirit consciousness. So this is where we get to we get to understand the interconnectedness of nine. You know what I'm saying, of the feminine energy, when we understand more of who we are and who we are as energy, and how we get to identify our energy and understand how we are creating ourselves in our energy, in our different I would say transits of energy. You know what I'm saying? And when I say transits, we go through many different transitions, like a lunar phase, a solar phase, or a lunar phase, or a solar cycle. We go through many different transits of the planets, the suns, the moons, the stars, and all of that, rather internally, consciously, as we, experience and we create an experience. So this is where we are understanding the value of nine. And so I like to talk about the value of nine in the essence of creativity, or in the energy of creativity, and understanding like what you value in your creativity, or even what you value in your reality, in your experience, and your how you spend, or I would say how you invest your time and how you invest your life, here on earth. And so definitely nine, when it comes to your dreams or your inner world or your visions, plays a big part when it comes to how you tap in spiritually or connect with yourself spiritually. And also it can show you a lot about how you are as as the spirit, as your energy. And so I would like to say the value of X is nine. Taking it a step further, X is 10 in Roman numerals in the numerology. 10 equals 1 in the base foundation, which is valued by 9. And I say 10 equals 1 when you break it down in numerology. 1 plus 0 equals 1. And so therefore 10 will be founded by 1. Whereas if one in the base foundation is valued by 9, we're really talking about X or 10. So we got 9 times 1 equals 9. 9 times 9 is 90. 90 times 9 is 810, which is 9. So essentially, out of all of these sequences, you're gonna get 9. There's no way you're gonna get around 9, or get around, the ending of a cycle in order to begin. Or let's say when you have started something, there's no way you can't finish it, or you can opt out of whatever you so will to do, right? You know what I mean? So one way or another, you got to come into a completion, come into some form of awareness, or reach some sort of, let's say, achievement, but not something like outside of you, or something like something so external, or something so yeah, you got to reach a form of achievement, rather consciously or mentally, rather in creating. That's what I would say. So even on a higher octave of the tree of life, or the Kabbalah system, where you have 9 above Malkuth, which is 10. 9 is your side in the tree of life, and that represents the heart space, the astral planes, dreamscape, imagination, creation, information, and so much more. I say this to say that Malkuth being X or being 10, which is action, manifestation, or as some call Asaya in the Hebrew language, or some call Asaya in the Hebrew language, in myth or the Torah or the Quran. Whereas here and now on earth, we stand 10 toes down with 10 fingers, 5 of each hand and foot. In such understanding, what I find in the divine feminine principle of 9 is a pure value for life and what one creates for oneself, as within, so without. And so, what does that mean? Going deeper within the spiritual senses of self to navigate in or create through one's consciousness. This is where the work gets good, because in this sense, the release of thought and or action allows for better awareness and knowing, which in itself is composed of all sense of which in itself is composed of all sense of awareness. Whereas in between feminine and masculine becoming one, this is an agreement, on or in being sense itself. So the primal essence, sexual energy, the magic of 9 is, or we can say, is in knowing oneself as a creator in one's own creation, let's say of the mother, or creation and formation. The creation is not separate from the creator, or the creation is not separate from the creator's self. So one must know thyself, and to thy own self be true. 9 as your side is referring to one's inner temple and universe within a universe. In the formation of a 9, it could resemble an ear or the shape of the inner ear, as well as the baby's body in the womb essence. Hence, it all being feminine of essence, as the mother crowns the head of the father and the son. A man is not a man until he has met with a woman and have created one's own mind, body, soul, and spirit connection and alignment, as in, let's say, a child. You know what I'm saying? So this is where the purpose of a foundation or a union or some, let's say, coming together in the physical, this is where that actually, you know what I'm saying, it makes sense. You know what I mean? This is the whole purpose of that in the way that we do it, whether it be consciously or unconsciously. But this is where we need to be conscious and aware and raise awareness, rather on the spiritual or energy level, to further, get into the attraction, or even further the identity, and connect with the identity and how we want to create, our experience, whether it be, with self as an individual, or with a mate or somebody else that you might be looking for. How you want to rather design that is in your own definition of how you see what you want for yourself. And so that's all creativity. That's all, a certain enamor that you might cultivate in your mind, or in your dreamscape, or in your, in your sculpting of male or female, whoever this might be listening to. You know what I'm saying? So 9 as an energy source. 9 as an energy source or energy center is a strong energy and chakra to work with. The 9 energy helps one access higher realms of consciousness, as the 9th chakra is known as the atomic doorway, which is located in the right ear, or the inner ear nuclei. In the entrance of the inner ear, you connect with the atom. You connect with the atom or the atomic energy. Hence why it's called the atomic doorway. So in this atomic energy, where you have the cosmic energy, the cosmic consciousness through resonance of sound, even where there is none. The clarity of knowing or cognizance can be found in the chakra. How it exists within the heightened consciousness one develops through the chakra. How it exists within the heightened consciousness one develops through chakra work and meditation. And even on a greater level of attuning oneself to this 9 energy can be through creativity and imagination. where in the flow of creativity or imagination, one can discover many different qualities of the self that maybe were overlooked or thought to be less, when it's much more to who you are and how you operate or even come into being. And that is through knowing, or gnosis, as the Gnostics will call it. And through knowing self, we find self-realization. And, so forth and so on. But through that self-realization, I would say for me, how I've come to discover a lot of this is me being like a musical being. You know what I'm saying? I create a lot of music. I love music. You know what I mean? And just having an ear for music, but also having an ear, intuitively and for wisdom. You know what I'm saying? For as far as seeking wisdom and seeking knowledge and wanting to understand more of myself in this world and what I'm doing and how I'm doing and what's really going on as far as, the events and the things taking place in my reality, right? And so I find for a lot of the stuff that I've been able to connect with and discover, it has been something more of a sound, you know what I'm saying? And it's not been something like so intellectual, you know what I'm saying? But within the sound, I would say, like, okay, we say vibration. Everybody like to say that. But in the vibration of things, I find myself, connected with, places, people, and things of wisdom, and to further my creativity and further more of my storyline and the things that I would like to kind of explore, share, and bring forth to the world, in my way, right? In my universe, because that's what it is. You are you are your own universe, and that's what you got to know. So as your own universe, you got to be able to take responsibility for your own conductivity as a solar being, you know what I'm saying, from within, so without, or even as a lunar being, however you might identify, you know what I'm saying? But essentially as an energy source, as a god, goddess, as an angel, or what, a demon, however you want to, you know what I'm saying, dress it up, make it up for the world, nigga. You got to take full responsibility and the awareness of who you are and how you are operating from, the gnosis of self. And this is where a lot of that, is founded, discovered, and even brought into existence, or let's say at the brink of it, coming into existence. This is where we are in that essence, in that purity, or that primal energy of nine. And so, mythologically speaking, nine has been represented everywhere in many different religions and schools of thought. Nine has been attributed to many goddesses and gods of creation and creator gods. This is where one gets to understand the element or the nature of self through nine. Hence what I was talking about. Nine has been associated with Buddha, Quetzalcoatl, Jesus, the goddess Oya, mother of storms, Califia, Calafia, or California. Who else? Neith. Some people say, you know what I'm saying. You got the nine goddesses of the Hindu, the Hindu pantheon. You got the Enid or the Ennead. You know what I'm saying. As far as in Egypt, as far as all the gods, it's not all females or all women, but you have, the number nine being prominent in the aspect of we could say authority, identity, and a representation of, like, a supreme energy, for sure. So throughout time, it's been said that Queen Calafia joined forces with the Moors against Christians in a religious war during the 16th century of a Spanish novel, Las Surgas de Esplandian. And that's the name of the novel, is Las Surgas de Esplandian. Even as a mythological story, though, one must consider the truth beyond the myth of appearance, as in the spirit, the soul, the energy, the purity, the essence, and through such, one can discern, decode, and decipher information based on the level of consciousness that you're at. And within the Hindu pantheon, you have the nine goddesses I said before: Shalaputri, Brahma, Shirina, Chandraganta, Kushmanda, Skandamata, Katayani, Kalarati, Mahagori, and Siddhidachi, or Siddhidachi. And these are all archetypes, or all aspects, of consciousness that one must, get to learn or study, about themselves, and find within themselves to better understand, the ways of being. I wouldn't even just say the ways of the world, but when you understand your own way of being as an individual, you can better understand the ways of the world and how, things operate for you in your experience, instead of, being subjected to any and everything outside of you, and then blaming a deity form or a god or a divinity beyond you or away from you. You know what I'm saying? And so Oya in Yoruba is the mother of nine, returning to nine stillborn children or the children of miscarriage, which I thought was pretty profound because we understand, the spirit realm and many of the goddesses and the gods who operate in like funerary rites and different things as far as like your funerary rites and the transitioning of the coming to and from Earth. So for her working the system of one's transition and conducting that space for the children who did not complete their mission or want to come, as far as who did not want to come here, who couldn't make it, was to say her holding that space for them to return to her as the mother of miscarriage or the stillborn children of nine, right? That I find is very symbolic, just based on her energy and how she shows up as a mother and as the energy she brings, whether it be in her warrior like energy going to war for hers, what I'm saying, or whether it be in her caretaking energy of wisdom where she comes to enlighten and come to get you up off your feet and show you who you are and make you remember who you are as one of the air, one of the skies, what I'm saying. So one of information, one of wisdom, and one of knowledge to pour into her children or pour into her creation, will just say to resemble back to her or even back to oneself to stand up and be in their truth. Feel me? And a lot of that, when it comes to the Oya energy, is through sound. I ain't gonna say, I ain't gonna lie. When I say sound, I mean speech. You know what I mean? So in your voice, in your heka, as somebody call it, a lot of that energy, as far as with Oya, is expressed or found through the sound, the tonality, the vibration, and even intuition, of course. But a lot of that, that Oya energy is found through speech and being able to express yourself in your true authenticity, unapologetically and freely. You know what I mean? And that's another thing when it comes to the feminine energy, is that the feminine energy, is requiring freedom. You know what I'm saying? That's one thing about the feminine energy, that it ain't looking to be imprisoned or shackled or caged in. You know what I'm saying? And when it comes to just this human life, you know what I mean, we've learned a lot of ways to be caged in and indoctrinated and not free of our own selves or even independence when it comes to the way we think, we operate, we create, we be. You know what I mean? So many things that became intellectual, you know what I'm saying? What's the fucking word? Politically correct and logical, and or let's just say it just became so real to where people lose their vision or imagination for creation or whatever that they were actually want to make real or make into being. So this is where in such reality, you got people who then question the divinity of life, who then question God, who question all of these different, deities and whatnot that they believe in, and then forget that you have the power and you have the will that, let's say, these forms exist within you because you are a form, right? And so in your form is for your own awareness and recognition to recognize the formlessness or the release from, like I said, the action or the thought, because sometimes you might just allow unconscious thoughts or just an unconscious way of being to just kind of operate on autonomy, and that's not healthy. You feel what I'm saying? Or sometimes you might be, and in that same token of, let's say, doing nothing or operating on autonomy, you could be actually doing things like in action of things that you don't want to do, or that it ain't for you, and it's like you don't know why you doing it, what you doing, how you doing, and it's like you're not even present. And so that's where, when you realize that, you can draw yourself back in, hence the nine energy. You know what I'm saying? So the spiral or the spirit, of nine, and how you attune yourself within the intuition and the inner ear nucleus or the inner G, you know what I'm saying, that inner temple. This is where one gets to, identify and create for themselves the way that they actually would like to be, instead of taking on whatever the world throws at them, or whatever society or people, places, or things that might offer you, and just give to you just because of whatever they see or how they see. And now you just you under a rulership, you under an influence outside of your own, and you are lacking inspiration, you're lacking within. You know what I'm saying? And so a lot of this energy, when it comes to the feminine energy, it is speaking to one being able to release and be free in the truth that they seek within themselves to then authorize and operate and conduct the world that they then create for themselves. And that's what we've been doing that. But however, the redemption of that authority starts with the self-initiation and a self-realization when it comes to discovering self-knowledge and wisdom and understanding. So that is from a practice, that is from a walk of life for a certain, a way of being when it comes to recognizing one's own energy or formlessness or essence and how you gratify yourself within that just by, let's say, then enacting what you know what I'm saying, into this life. You know what I'm saying? So not going against what you know, or not uh, uh, ignoring your intuition or ignoring your spirit or confusing yourself or getting caught in indecisiveness, but actually being able to conceptualize and form a thought or opinion, or let's say a better action and manifestation. You feel me? So let's say putting the spirit into the ritual, you know what I'm saying? And then this is where it becomes spiritual, you know what I'm saying? And that's where, you got to be able to integrate a lot of what you are searching for and seeking for it so far beyond, in the cosmos and whatnot, into your consciousness, into your daily life and walk. And how you are able to do that definitely is through this nine energy, where you find different ways to create through the different qualities of consciousness that you're able to receive or attract, or let's say gratify and latch on to. When I say latch on, you're able to grasp. So that's where, what I'm saying, you're growing, you're developing, and you are, let's say, growing your mind or growing your consciousness to a higher frequency and vibration of which your spirit and soul operates. And this is where you get to know thyself, and to thyself be true, and a greater possibility. You did. And as we go further, the NIGGAZ or the Ani in Egypt, or Kemet or Temeria, as well as, and Temeria as well, consist of the 9 gods and goddesses: Adam, Shu, Tefnut, Geb, Nut, Osiris, Isis or Set, Nephthys. And it is said that Neith, the goddess of world wisdom and weaving time, is one of the oldest deities. And I find that Neith and 9 aren't too distant in tone and expression when you say the word Neith and 9, and you understand the qualities of, what Neith does and how she, conducts time and operates within time, and the whole essence of even the feminine energy and just the 9 itself. You can see how, things can connect just on words, and that's something I find, even like I say with myself, I find myself to be sort of a wordsmith, where I can hear a word and hear other words from one word. You know what I'm saying? So let's say when I hear Neith, I can hear 9. When I hear 9, I can hear Neith. You know what I'm saying? And this is even rather how sometimes the intuition may speak when it's like, extraordinary or out of the ordinary, where it's like, you got to actually attune in to the heart, you know what I mean? And or even just say the inner temple, and understand how, one is processing information and knowing, truth from falsehood, light from dark, you know what I mean? And ultimately understand it all in this essence of possibility or actuality in one's reality. And so definitely with this 9 energy, it's offering, us a great time to create, transform, and step into who we want to be or desire ourselves to be or see ourselves, being, you know what I'm saying? So how we dream and how we, be in the dreams, that's actually playing out right now on such a grand scheme of things, where the opportunities, the portals, the spaces and dimensions and whatnot is open and activating for, the individuals to step into alignment of themselves and do as they please. But, depending on where you are based on, your path and with the things that you are, taking in, will determine how you are experiencing this 9 energy, right? And so also with the 9 energy, it's a fire year, with this being a lunar year, so it's a fire year. So also with your side, let's say that's that inner fire, that inner sun, that inner light, you know what I mean? And this is where the most potent I find, because when you go from 0 to 9, you raise, let's say, you raise the vibration, you raise awareness, so you get to a point of heightened, consciousness, or let's say you're just reaching an ending of a cycle, right? That 9 is that it's not it's that breaking point. You know what I'm saying? So let's say like the water is about to break. You feel what I'm saying? And this is where one gotta actually see themselves in that same womb of energy to be able to recognize how one is manifesting and stepping into this world every day that they wake up and arise and do what they do. And it's not something to be overcritical about, but it's something to be very wise about when it comes to your energy and how your spirit is speaking through you, to you, for you to know what you need to know. You know what I'm saying? So this is where you raise your awareness. You seek to raise your awareness. You seek greater intuition and wisdom upon rather that formlessness or that essence, or let's say a mother's intuition. You know what I'm saying? You would seek that within yourself based on your consciousness and what you know or what you don't know when it comes to how you then seek and study and go about creating. And honestly, I find a lot of that is definitely built in the value of what we value. You know what I'm saying? The things that we value and experience, the things that we value by time, and how we value our thoughts and our reality, the shit we entertain or we entertain ourselves with. You know what I'm saying? A lot of that shit is what's going to determine you being that nigga, or you being that bitch, or you being whoever you aspire yourself to be in all ways of being, of you being, or having the most immaculate dream turning into reality or coming true. You know what I'm saying? And this is where, like some people say, shit, I would agree too, hard work beats talent. You know what I'm saying? And it's true. But at the end of the day, don't hold back from an open opportunity to discover, a greater part of yourself that can, lead you to many different, realities or experiences or journeys that you may have always dreamed of or never could imagine. You know what I'm saying? So don't hold back from yourself by not opening up and not going within and not checking in and not, recognizing where you are called within the spirit, within your soul self, within your higher self, to raise your awareness, to connect with your higher heart, connect with your inner world, and let's say release, from the illusions in the false world, to be more free and abundant and infinite in the 9 energy, because that is also that 9 energy where you recognize the infinite possibilities. You know what I'm saying? So even in that, masculinity, could be abundant, and then femininity is infinite. You know what I'm saying? So the woman is infinite, the man is abundant. And this is where we get to understand the qualities of our counterparts and how they operate and act, even just as individual selves, because we all, share masculine and feminine energy. So, I bring this message of peace and gratitude with love of the divine feminine, because I've learned so much from the divine feminine and so many priestesses that I've come across my path, and I've sought out, honestly, because I understand more of my energy as a creator and who I am, and my creative energy and essence, and wanted to learn it from a greater sister wisdom from women. You know what I'm saying? And not just my own logic of a man or my own sense, but having done that, I've come to know, myself in the greater aspect, from, the great mothers, from the great daughters, you know what I'm saying, from my sisters, from my many wives out there in all the multiverse, you know what I'm saying? But I'm just talking shit though. The beautiful Black women and the goddesses have showed me so much, about me, and have been able to, let's say, open up and show me so much love to where I was able to learn what, when, where, why, and how, right, and who, to where I could do so much more, and I could do it with much more, with much more what's the word I'm looking for? I'm gonna just say confidence, courageousness, you know what I'm saying? I could do it more in my divine masculinity, you know what I'm saying, as a man, you know what I'm saying? Because when you tap into your divine feminine, or you tap into your feminine energy, you know what I'm saying, as a man, that is you, creating something. So even in our doing of what we do as men, you know what I'm saying, I'm just speaking for myself as an individual, but I'm speaking to the men. What we do as men, and how we do, a lot of that can definitely, be sparked or come from, our feminine side and how we see it or how we idealize it. Could be left brain, it could be like manly or whatever, but we got to check the essence. And when we look at the essence of a lot of things that we do, we can respect the value of it and why we do it maybe so unique, why we do it so fashionably great, why we do it so, spectacular and fascinated in a way that's like, damn, why that nigga run like that? Why that nigga shoot the gun like that? Why that nigga shoot the ball and have fun like that? You know what I'm saying? But while we do everything we do, in our essence of it, we got to look at our flow and our creativity and that what it is really is, that flamboyance, even, that flame, that fire, and that fire can definitely be a lot of feminine. You know what I mean? As much as fire can be seen as masculine, and it can be seen as a Heru or the Aries, and it can be seen as, the leader and dominant. It's definitely, it definitely could be feminine. It definitely is feminine, when it comes to how passion can be expressed on many levels. So get to know yourself and get to know yourself within this 9 energy when it comes to, say, get to know your soul, get to know your spirit, and get to identify that within a greater sense of self, so you can then, let's say, bring a greater sense of self into being and uplift and raise, your world up, you know what I'm saying? And so, hey, do what thou wilt is the whole of the law, right? You know what I mean? For real. But that's some real shit though, and I find you can only do that when you know thyself. And when you know thyself, it is to thy own self you should be true. So, and staying true, that is where you tap into you. You tap into that greater sense of self and consciousness that let's say you own. You know what I'm saying? You own that right and that will or that consciousness, because it is a part of you and you are a part of it. So as one said before, the creation is not separate from the creator, and how you show up in this world, how you do what you do in the way that you do it, you resemble the divinity or the formlessness of the essence of that no one can see. You know what I'm saying? And so that's where you gotta, really get to, like I say, connect with the value that expansion. Because I find it's a value in that. And when you really know it is a value, your value does increase because, nigga, you know better. So when you know better, you do better. And upon doing better, you discover better, you find better, you live better, you breathe better, you drink better, you eat better, you sleep better. I'm just saying, you have a greater chance, or you give yourself a greater chance when it comes to, even going in the unknown, or, trusting yourself among the unknown and the mystery, only to be revealed and unveiled of yourself in a greater sense, and being able to release thoughts of fear, being able to move past, past actions and past thoughts of, lethargy, negative shit, you know what I'm saying, conspiratorial thinking and concepts, all of the shit that can get thrown your way when it comes to, one being on a spiritual path, when you can, let's say, go through the gauntlet of this shit and just truck through it and really, get to you and recognize you throughout all of these things. This is where the value of your soul, spiritual self, and the love of all of that can then be poured into you, you know what I'm saying, or even received as wisdom, you know what I'm saying, as gratitude, as truth, freedom, all of that, you know what I mean? And as they say, the truth shall set you free. So therefore, you got to be able to receive, and know what the truth is as it is, existing within oneself, and understand that it's not far from you. You know what I'm saying? When you are creating and when you are, operating, or even when we say you are generating, you are operating, and you are destroying. So in the God essence, in the God sense, no nonsense, this is where you got to actually, like I say, come into awareness of your being. And in your awareness of your being, you could transform, you could transcend, you could do all of the things, heal, transmute, you can rebuke, you can do all of the shit, you know what I'm saying? But, it definitely, requires, a self-initiation, you know what I'm saying? It requires you, whereas your attention, and you must be attentive according to your own energy and who you are as that creator self. You feel me? And this is where the learning of the experience becomes so much greater beyond, all of the excess bullshit that a nigga could go through, or a nigga could, let's say, tap into, just to, you know what I'm saying, what they say, stroke the ego. You know what I'm saying? So getting beyond a lot of the mental masturbation, as Brother Panic would say, shout out, you know what I'm saying? But getting beyond a lot of that mental shit, and really tapping into the gnosis and the information that actually exists within inside of you, that breathes, and that is all within, right? Let's say how you filter throughout that is at your own pace, will, and either creativity, because it don't gotta be, you know, so orthodox, or it don't gotta be so doctrinated of, like, you know, how the gurus say you got to do it, or how some people say you got to just sit down and meditate, or whatever. And I say that to say some of the things that you do, you know, to release your mind. You know what I'm saying? We ain't gonna talk about, you know, I mean, we ain't gonna go there, but some of the things that one might do to release your mind, as far as, like, nigga, whether you smoke, whether you go to the skating rink, you know what I'm saying? Whether it's you like to write, you know what I'm saying? Shit, whether it's you go bowling, you know what I'm saying? Whether it's going to whatever it is that you do, you know what I'm saying, to release from the world or from the physical. You may not even realize that you're doing it, but you're doing it, and then in turn you're receiving the experience and a whole new way of, you know, we even say relief, but in that freedom, you know what I'm saying, you discovering different latent traits about yourself, and this is where we get to know a greater quality of ourselves in the higher self, or even the God. You know what I'm saying? So for real, you know, this is where that divine feminine energy is definitely, you know, opening up a lot of that advanced and heightened consciousness of such opportunity during this cycle of the 9 year, as far as, you know, the divine feminine principle of 9. So this is what, you know, I've been wanting to bring through, and it's been on my heart for some days. I was gonna come Thursday, but I came today because that's just what it is. You know what I'm saying? So essentially, you know, I just wanted to bring this through because the divine feminine put it on me. So I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna do it. You know what I'm saying? Ain't nothing to it but for me to do it. And in my doing, you know, it's with love, and definitely it's with much respect for the divine feminine and all the women and the priestesses that have, you know, shown me love and taught me much great wisdom that I can then, you know, register and know myself and my greater self and my higher self, and do for my own, right? And so that's just, you know, how I want to bring that, because I don't see a lot of, actually, no, I don't see a lot of individuals talking about the divine feminine principle of 9. You know what I'm saying? So I don't see a lot of people talking about the 9 energy, you know, or just what, like, let's say this 9 energy is bringing right now. So, you know, I just thought I'd do so, you know what I'm saying? So shit, somebody got to do it, right? And so shit, why not me? And that's just where I'm just, you know, I'm thankful for any and everybody that come across this video. And if it resonates with you in any way, leave a comment, like, share, subscribe, all that West Side. And it's with love. You hear it from the chief, and that's me. So definitely, you know, I just want to give one more gratitude and love and thank you to the divine feminine, and even to the gods out there. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to all the gods and all the niggas, you know what I'm saying, that I fuck with, that fuck with me, and I'm me on the frequency, you know what I'm saying? And even in the future, you feel me? It's all love. And I'm gonna end it like that. So, you know, yeah, man, tap in to your creativity. You know what I mean? Tap into your creativity, know your value, you know what I'm saying? Learn, you know what I mean, what your value is and what you value, you know what I'm saying? Because when you understand that you're creating your reality, or you have an opportunity to create reality, then you're going to take better advantage on your authority and what you have to do, or what you hear and want to do. You know what I'm saying? And so essentially, you know, nigga, and a lot of this energy, you know, what I really would like to say, you know, just from, you know, from the divine feminine, you know what I'm saying? Oh, definitely, man. I just want to say it. Be free. You know what I'm saying? So be free, be free, be free. You know what I mean? And that's what love.